Hi, I'm Dawn.
I'm Ashley.
And this is Mel.
Welcome to the Work It, You Are Worth It podcast.
We are here to discuss awareness, growth, and healthy relationships.
Are you ready?
Hey, Ashley.
Hey, Dawn, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm amazing. It has been forever, I
It,
feel like.
it has. It has been forever. I mean, obviously you and I've talked, but to actually podcast, it's been, oh God, almost 6 months. So yeah, I've missed you. I've missed doing this and looking forward to reconnecting with this. But I guess we should
Jump right into why, right?
yeah,
Why it's been 6 months.
why we've been MIA. So about, I don't know, 3 months ago or so, you and I were actually we were trying to podcast, if I remember correctly, and we ended up just chatting and just behind the scenes we do that
Several,
frequently. Yeah.
several times. Like we got on to podcast and we just ended up talking for an hour and was like, never mind, guess we're not recording
Yeah,
today.
which is what we, in those situations, that's what we need. So that's not apologizing for that. But anyways, there was one day, and I've been struggling. That I think for me is why the podcast has been fewer and far between. That's why it's taken me. Um, I mean, we have podcasts in the bank that I just could not get motivated to edit. Um, and I really just have been struggling. And I described it to you as I felt like I was being held down. I've been in recovery. The 26th was 7 years, and Coda has been an amazing program for me. I can honestly say I would not be where I'm at today without that program. And at the same time, I was feeling held back by it as well. I was The way I would describe it is I said I had these like black bands with all my sponsees, with the Thursday night meeting, with the podcast, with work, with all of just the things going on in my life. And I was feeling like I was being held down. I equate it to like the Macy's Day balloons in the air and how you have all those people holding it down. It's fighting to get away.
Yeah, just preventing it from rising up into the sky.
Yeah. And I was like, I was feeling flat and I was just, I don't know. I was just, I just couldn't do it anymore. And so I actually just nonchalantly said something to you because we were talking about the Thursday night Coda meeting. And I was like, kind of, what would you think about I'm really just let it go. And you, ironically,
Yeah. So at the same time, right, when you said that to me, for me, it was just like, wow, that's it. I didn't realize what was going on. I didn't realize what was happening. So for me, there's a lot happening in my life, right? My oldest two children, who I was extremely codependent on their whole lives, they are adults now, but they're young adults, right? My son is 20, my daughter is 22. They're just beginning their journey into their own lives. So I was kind of working with letting go of them and allowing them to be who they are and flourish and live their life. And then at the same time, dealing with my youngest daughter's father and the custody and the child support and all of that stuff. And at the same time, sponsees and sponsors and the program, Work It, You're Worth It, and Coda and the podcast, and really just all those same things that you mentioned. And for me, it was like, instead of feeling like I was being held down, I felt like it was the ceiling. Like
hmm
I just
yeah,
reached the top. Like I remember when I first started Coda, when I first started recovery, like I give the credit to Coda because that was the program that helped me see
yeah,
it. But it's not,
100%.
yeah, but it's not just Coda, right? It could be any 12-step program, it could be any religion, it could be any therapy or psychotherapy or whatever program that connects the dots for each person. And for me, that program happened to be Coda. So when I found Coda, like I was on the bathroom floor wanting to crawl out of my own skin, trying to figure out how the hell I could get away from me, but there was no way to get away from me. Um, and it felt like I was standing at the bottom of Mount Everest and I needed to climb Mount Everest in order to get to the other side of wanting to
Mhm.
crawl out of my own skin. And I did it. I spent 4.5 years in Coda and I spent so much time working and putting effort into the 12 steps and to this podcast and to our meeting and to the sponsors, sponsees, and all of it. And just every day in my life, I just devoted myself to climbing that mountain. And when you mentioned to me, Dawn, that you were feeling like you were being held down, it just connected so much because I felt like I was just smashing my head on the top of a ceiling. Like, I got to keep going. I got to keep growing. There's more for me, but there was nowhere for me to go. And when you mentioned letting it go, my initial thought was, oh, that's going to make so much more space. But then
Yeah.
my second thought was, no, I can't let it go. I need this. I need recovery to stay aware and to stay present. And so, yeah, like when you said maybe it's time to let it go, at first my initial instinct was, oh yeah, we got to let go of this. We got to move on to something more.
Mhm.
But then my second thought was, but we can't really fully let go of this. This this is Mount Everest, right? I just climbed this freaking mountain. Look at this accomplishment. Look at this pride. Look where I am. So what's next, right? For me, that was my thought was like I can't just leave it behind. I got to bring it with me. This has to be a part of my life.
Right. So I don't know if we told you this or not, but about a year ago, so I started complaining about all this about a year ago. Just not, I don't want to say complaining, maybe even a year and a half ago, where I was just not into it. I just wasn't, for me, work it, you were worth it. The meeting and all this stuff became a job. That is not what I went into this for, right? I created this meeting because I needed more from a meeting. I created Work It, You Are Worth It because I wanted to be able to give back. And what I found was, other than you, nobody wanted to go on that journey with me. And so it became work. It became, we meet on Sunday. I'm trying to knock out editing podcasts. And then I was just like, Ashley, I can't do it. And you stepped in and started helping me. And it just got to be too much. And so anyways, about a year, and maybe a year and a half ago, Colin made a comment. Mom, are you codependent on Coda? No, 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 I'm not codependent on Coda. I said, I'm doing this because I get so much out of it. I do this because, right, as long as I'm getting something out of it, then I'm good. Right now, I'm getting something out of it. I love being able to, work with my sponsees. I love being able to share this, right? I kind of justified it away, my feelings away.
Well, and then too, there was that. I remember when you were feeling that way, and I wasn't quite feeling that way. I picked up a
Right.
bunch and I tried to help as much. I mean, I'm very busy, single mom, work 2 jobs, whatever, but I picked up as much
Yeah.
as I could. And then something happened too where someone that had been really invested into our podcast and into the meetings just really shared with us how much our knowledge helped them.
Right. Right.
And that kind of seemed to relight the fuse or
It did.
reinvigorate for
But
for a time.
just for a minute for me, just for a minute. And it's funny because every time we would get off a podcast, we would comment how much we got out of it, how much we loved doing it.
Yes.
And I know that sounds really fucked up that we're over here talking, saying, it was this, 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 and this, but then I get so much out of it. But it is, I do. And I think that's why I kept pushing it away, pushing it kind of further away about maybe I'm done with, not done with my work, my growth and recovery, not, but maybe done with the 12 steps because I, f- I felt limited.
Or maybe
And
just done with Coda.
yeah, that's it. 12 steps. Coda, yes. Coda. So anyways, Colin said it to me again because we were talking and he actually said it to me. I think it was about a week before I said to you, what do you think? Because that hit me that time. That time, didn't hear it the first time. Couldn't hear it the first time. Second time, oh. And I've done a lot of reflecting on that, and he was 100% right. He was 100% right a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when you brought that to me the first time,
Hmm.
and I did the same thing. Like, yeah, I don't know, it's a lot of responsibility and it's a lot of work, but we get a lot out of it, and kind of like I heard it, but I didn't take it
Right,
in.
right, right.
And then when you said it again, the week that we had that conversation, when you said it again that week, I very much heard it. I very much took it in, and I very much reflected as well.
Hmm.
For me, there's a huge separation between just Coda and the 12 steps. For me, the 12 steps have really become a way of life.
Yeah,
Acknowledging my higher power, taking my own inventory, taking accountability for the things I don't appreciate, asking my higher power to help with it, and passing on what I've gotten. When I think about Coda specifically, I think very limited. When I think about AA, when I think about
yeah,
NA,
you're right.
if I think about a specific program, I feel like when I think about Coda, I definitely feel like I got codependent on the Coda program.
Right.
It's easy to get codependent on recovery. It's easy to become addicted to being
Yeah.
in recovery because, like you said, when we got off the podcast, when we left a meeting, there was this high.
Yes.
There's this, oh, I feel so good. We just talked and we released and we made a difference, and it is a high. So when I would feel that high, and you brought what Colin was saying to me, it clicked.
Yeah.
Like, wow, I am being codependent on Coda.
Right.
I'm not, like, I feel like I've reached my ceiling with it. I feel like it's a chore and a responsibility. And I feel like I'm doing it solely for other people.
Yes.
I'm being codependent on Coda.
I did not find meetings. I know you said you would leave feeling like they were good. I didn't find that. For the last year, meetings were torture for me.
At the end, I wouldn't go the last year. I would say the last, at first, when they made the change that they made,
Yeah, that.
at first it was okay. Like, it was disappointing, but it got okay. But then the last several months, where the meeting just wasn't as authentic and vulnerable. We weren't as authentic and vulnerable. I know I wasn't, because of the things that was going on in my life. um it became so hard to share that stuff
Right.
and follow the guidelines that were laid out before us.
Yeah. Um, I I think that's one of the things when the meeting I went to before, which you had been to that meeting was at, that's how you and I met. That meeting was small.
Yes, very small.
And I'm not even saying count quantity small. I am just saying the thought process, the it was small.
It
They
followed the guidelines to the letter, to the T, only the guidelines, nothing but the guidelines. And it limited the amount of authenticity and vulnerability allowed in the meeting.
Yes. And so that's when I was like, okay, I want to do this. I know I talked to you. I know I talked to a very dear friend of ours about it, a couple of people, and they were so you guys were all very supportive when I decided to do this. And it was to break that ceiling that we're talking about, that I've reached this point and I can't go further in where I'm at. So let me make space for me. And that is the epitome of my recovery, is learning to make space for
I
me.
have to tell you, Dawn, it is really hitting me just how similar what you and I are doing now.
Hmm.
Um,
You didn't
what
realize
we are
that?
all, how similar it is to ending a relationship,
Oh,
or
yes.
growing out of a job, or realizing that I am codependent in my relationships with other people, right? Like, when I think about, we're talking about reaching a ceiling or being held down. and then feeling a responsibility to keep going forward, and then realizing that really my responsibility is to myself and to
Hmm.
give myself what I need. And maybe part of what I need is leaving some of this behind and
Yeah.
picking up other pieces somewhere else.
The last couple of like the last three meetings, I was very emotional in those meetings, the last three Coda meetings. And it was really was, and it's like I know you guys kept saying, it's something going to be something new, it'll be exciting. And this is was a relationship for me. It was all the hope and all the stuff that I felt in the beginning and was so excited about, and coming to the end where I realized that it didn't end up being what I wanted it to be in the beginning. And that is just because that was the season it needed to run, right? I got amazing things from the Work It You Are Worth It Coda aspect. I met some amazing people, and I needed to make space for me and what I need. This isn't for me. This is about, okay, I want to take I want to take my growth to another level.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the way you described it, I don't know if you heard it when you were just saying it, but what you just said, describing your relationship with Coda, all I heard was codependent relationship.
Yep.
It really was. It was
Mhm.
like you felt like it was a breakup. And I saw it in the
Yeah.
end of the meetings. Like as you talked about it and as you described it, it felt to you like a breakup. And that's part of what is so difficult for me in being in recovery and being self-aware is even with growth, even with recovery, even with healing, I can't become codependent on it. I can't
Right.
become addicted to healing
Right.
because there has to be times in life where we are just at the in between. We aren't healing, we aren't growing, we
Mhm.
aren't falling, we aren't it's not the end of the world. Hell, I just went through one. It's just an in between place where
Yeah.
there's nothing for a minute. And that
Yeah.
has to be okay.
Yep. And so, and it's really weird because a lot of times, with it, when you end a relationship, there's that hopelessness, that kind of, and that feeling like, oh, I'm never gonna find anybody, or I'm never gonna, right, I'm gonna be single, or I'm gonna be all these, that those crazy thoughts we go through in a relationship at the end of a relationship. And what was
Mm-hmm.
really weird, and as you kept saying, this is the end, but actually this is gonna be in the beginning, but it's in, so even knowing that 1 week later we were going to have a new meeting and it was going to be in the vision that we wanted, and hopefully be everything that I wanted really for Work It You Were Worth It back, 4 years ago. There was still it was I was codependent on where I was at with Coda. And you
It's
know
in,
go ahead.
I was sorry. I was just going to say it's interesting to me because I was in a very different place. So if you still have more to say about the place you were in, please finish.
Oh,
I
go
didn't
ahead.
realize you were okay.
Sorry.
I, I was in a place where there was no grief, there was no mourning, there was no loss. I did not feel like I was leaving recovery behind. I felt like if I go back to the analogy of standing at the bottom of the mountain, I felt like I'd reached the top. And now I was looking at the very next mountain that was even
Hmm.
bigger.
Yeah.
Right. So I climbed this first mountain, and that was my practice. That was my trial. And now I have this next mountain, and it's still a mountain. We're still mountain
Hmm.
climbing. It's the
Oh yeah.
same. We're still doing the same thing. It's just a newer, bigger, better, more challenging mountain
Right.
than the one we were just on.
Yeah. Well, so
I was excited. I was super excited because for so long I felt like, ugh, what's next? Come on, I need
right.
more.
Right. So
And when we made that decision, I was like, yes, let's go.
so yeah, and after that we made this decision that we were going to um change things. I spent the next week actually um having discussions with sponsees and if you want to call it breaking up with them. I wasn't really I'm never, if I'm not leaving them behind, right? I definitely want them to come along the journey, but I needed to make space. And I had gotten to a point, and you know this, that I was really doing coda work 7 days a week.
all the time.
I didn't get a break.
Like between work, regular 9 to 5 job, and coda work, not even like self coda work, but sponsee work, meeting work. Like you had 2 full-time jobs.
Yes. I mean, a lot of the stuff that nobody sees behind the scenes that I get is I get all the phone calls. So every week when we're having a meeting, a newcomer comes, I get a text, I get a phone call, I get an email. So I'm responding to all of those emails and phone calls and text messages and questions and hey, I was in the meeting on Friday or Thursday. Do you have this person's phone number? Or right? It was always something. And yeah, it got to be just I couldn't do it anymore.
So, what did we decide that we're going to do from here? What are our
So
next steps?
we are we are changing it up. Not a lot, actually. We're changing it up, but we're still at the end of the day, the feel is going to be the same. I want to preface that very much of Ashley and myself in our hope, our recovery, our excitement, our growth, our awareness. Um, that will be very much the same
Yeah, we're not
because
going anywhere.
that's us. That's
I
us.
like to say, I really like my mountain analogy, but
That
we
is
are
really good.
stepping out from under one umbrella
Yes.
and there's no umbrella anymore. We're just doing our thing.
Yeah.
We're just
Um,
doing a work it, you're worth it thing, what we want to do, what feels right for our group.
yep. So, in our discussion that day, we kind of were talking, and we had built a bond with someone, and you actually built a very close bond with them because you are your sponsor, or you're their sponsor. And when it was mentioned, we were both very, very open. And I can't even tell you which one of us remember. I think you might have. I don't even remember at this point, but I just know that we were both very gung ho on it and very, really liked the idea. So we decided we were going to bring on a third person.
So I want to
Um,
tell a little story real quick
okay.
before we do this. It is, I don't, I just like you said, Dawn, I can't remember how we decided to bring this person on. I don't remember how it worked, but it worked. It just fit. It's like the universe decided that you and I had reached this cap
Yep.
and we needed something to help push us to the next level. And this person came in, and the way that we worked together in our little
Hmm.
triangle, the way that the three of us fit, and the push that they give us, and the push that we give, it was meant to be. This was HP all day.
100%.
There's no way we would have come to where we are if HP hadn't brought this person into our little group.
Yep. And I don't know about you, but definitely when we talked, I know I got off the phone that day and was HP, just you guide it,
It just
whatever.
felt right.
Just whatever you want me to do.
Yeah. And it just felt right.
Yep. So, we approached this person about joining us, and her name is Mel Sale. And we asked her if she would be interested in going on this ride with us, and she agreed.
Hi, Mel.
Mel is joining us today.
Hi,
Um,
everyone.
so we would can get to know her, so you guys can get to know her a little bit better, and we're just going to have some conversation today about around that. So, welcome, Mel. We are very glad you were here. So, can you tell us a little bit about you?
Hi, I'm Mel. I met Ashley and Dawn through Codependence Anonymous. Um, I had made the discovery that I had no idea how to show up in relationships. And I was really, really struggling. I had ended a relationship, a very significant relationship to me, and I was really, really struggling with it. And I realized I have struggled with relationships my whole life. And I did not know where to go with this. And I come from a family of 12 steppers, and I knew that a 12-step program um, has worked for other people, and I've seen it work for other people in the past. So I found a 12-step program. Actually, to be honest, I found the podcast first. I was just kind of searching myself, and I found the podcast first. And then I kind of said, okay, well, you know what? I think I'm a codependent. And actually, I think at that point, I knew for sure that I have very strong codependent tendencies. And then I just kind of took Work It, You Were Worth It, followed the loophole to Codependence Anonymous, and started to attend the meetings on a regular basis. And I did not talk. I did not show my face. I did not say anything. I would just show up. And I think I was there for about 3 months or quite quite a few meetings in. I approached Ashley and I introduced myself and said, "Hey, I need some help." And she wasn't really taking on any sponsors at the time, but she took my call. She said, "Okay, well, let's talk." She goes, "My plate is full," and we talked, but we connected. And she said, I'm going to take you on. I'll make space for you. And the rest is history. And here we are.
It
All
was
right.
really interesting, Mel. I didn't even know that you were in the meeting for the first several weeks. Like by the time you had reached out to me, I'd only seen you maybe once or twice at that point.
Oh, really?
So
And
oh, go ahead, Ash.
no, you're good. Go ahead.
I remember the day I got your email or your email. You actually, after listening to the podcast, reached out through the contact us on the Work It You Are Worth It website, workityourworthit.com. And I probably could pull the email up. Actually, I know I could. But you did. You inquired and you asked, and then you asked about the meeting, and I forgot about you because when you're getting, and not because of it was not you, right? It's because I get these phone calls and these emails, and if I worried about everybody that emailed and called me, if they were going to show up to the meeting, fuck, I would not get anything else done. So I forgot about you too. Just forgot about you. And then when I think it was during the Monday when we started doing the Monday night. And again, Ash, you said it, HP all day, because how many of those meetings were just the three of us? And that allowed me to get to know Mel, which you already had the relationship with Mel as our sponsor.
Right. Well, and I really, like Mel said, I was not taking on any new sponsees. My plate was full. I knew I didn't have any space. And for whatever reason, I can't even tell you what it was. There was just something, we just connected. It was HP all day, every step of this, right? From Mel finding the podcast, which not a lot of people had found yet,
Right.
all the way to her following that loophole. That was all HP. Finding me
Exactly.
as a sponsor we had 40 people in the meeting every Thursday at that point,
Yeah.
and she found me to ask to be your sponsor.
Right. And you know what's funny? You are were have been always at Monday night meetings, and there was one week that you couldn't be there. And I do believe we wouldn't be here right now if you would have been there. And
I
the reason
agree.
and the reason of that because is it allowed Mel and I to connect without you. Because
Yeah.
right, there was still this triangle and you were still involved and you knew all the stories and you knew all the things. And so we would discuss this stuff. And I was like, I think even one meeting I was like, well, so and so, and she's like, no, that you guys are like, no, that's not who that is. It's this person. I didn't know that. So without that one meeting of you not being there, I wouldn't have been able to engage and get to know Mel. Um, Again, higher power all day. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
so Mel is right, very likable person. We did as well. We connected. Um, and you know what's really, the one thing I do love about that Coda did give me, and this is, I've said a lot of I've outgrown Coda. I've outgrown, Coda. I was outgrowing Coda. I was codependent on Coda. The one thing that Coda did give me that I will eternally be grateful for forever. Well, there's a lot of things, but it's the people. It's the
Yeah, it's the
connections.
community.
Yeah,
The
it's the
community for
community
sure.
that has been created, and I believe um, that our meeting is very it's still the same. It's just vulnerable. It's authentic. That is what I hear in every feedback I get is the vulnerability and authenticity, and how it feels like such a safe space.
For sure. Mel, how long have you been in Coda?
Officially, I started around this time 1 year, this time
1
last
year.
year,
Okay.
So we've got Mel
and
has been in a year. I've been
one
in
year in. Yeah,
4 years, and Dawn has been in for 7 years.
yeah.
Okay.
But that's when September is when I approached you to be in my as sponsor. But in last July, I I started attending your meetings. And then in September, I believe that's when I asked you to be my sponsor. And then we
Beautiful.
and then we just started working the steps. And I have actually, guys, in 1 year I've completed the steps and now I have my own sponsee. And I have taken on my first sponsee. So,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
I
you.
We've talked about this a lot, Ashley and I have, but there is something about taking on a sponsor and
A sponsee.
a sponsee, yes, taking on a sponsee that will grow, it grows your recovery in a way that's unexpected.
It already has, like just after our first conversation I had with her yesterday, it kind of put a different spin on things. Actually, the first thing I did after I got off the phone with my new sponsee is I called my sponsor,
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
Ashley, and
Mhm.
and I had fear. I had fear around this, and we discussed it, and we talked it out in a really, healthy, calm way. And I left that phone call with a completely different perspective, which you're supposed to with your sponsor, you know?
But you should also get that same feeling getting off a call with a sponsee.
Oh, I did. I did. Like when I
Yeah.
left that feeling with my sponsee, um, but it was my first call.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know I needed a little bit of guidance to process it.
Yeah.
And
Um,
that's what I love about the sponsor sponsee relationship. You're not there to solve the problem, but it's nice to have someone to process it with
mhm.
in a calm, healthy manner, which is logical and makes sense. It's not someone getting into the emotions of it. It's someone that's going to help you process. And I love that relationship. It's nice to have that relationship with someone.
Yeah. The analogy I use with it when I talk to my sponsees about sponsoring is I go from being in a parent role and
Hmm.
raising you to work through the steps and all of that to a grandparent role where I get to sit back and I get all the good stuff. And I'm there to help. I'm not leaving you behind. I'm there when you need have a question or you need some guidance. That's what my role changes. And
Hmm.
it's a fun role. It's a different role.
Hmm.
So let's talk about how our roles are changing now. That's such a good entry. Where are we going with Work It, You're Worth It? We talked about where we were. We've talked about where we are. Welcome, Mel. We're so glad to have you here.
Thank
And
you.
where are we going now? What's next for us?
Well, we decided in the beginning, right now we're in these phases. It's not going to be a whole lot different than what we've been doing. It's just going to be more in depth, right? It's the podcast, getting back to podcasting, getting back to um, being more in depth and more thoughtful and more intentional with our podcasts.
Yeah. So we've got the three of us will be doing the podcasts every week again.
Hmm.
We will have topics that we're going to focus on. Mel is going to be doing a bunch of research for us and helping us pull in a lot of intentional knowledge into the podcast. We are also looking into hopefully bringing on some really great guests.
Hmm.
Um, and really focusing on making sure that this podcast is everything that we want it to be, with growth and healing and friendships and just healthy relationships.
Yep.
And then we also have our meeting, right? We're doing a Work It,
Thursday
You're Worth
nights.
It meeting every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it goes from 7 to 8:30. It is a conversation. Who wants to describe that? So we had some really good wording, verbiage to describe it. Does anybody have that?
It's collaborative.
Very collaborative.
Mhm.
Healthy communication where, right, we bring something that's happening and we share it, and then we talk about it and we talk about resolutions, and very much like Mel was saying, having a call with a sponsor is where we process through the emotional connections and what those emotions mean, rather than how we react to how we feel.
It's like giving your chance to have a little bit of a sponsor call, but in a meeting, almost. Pretty much.
Yeah.
We use the steps to find a solution, or, or just healthy logic to find a solution to what's heavy in your heart right at that moment.
So I would
Uh,
say the
Maybe
meeting
not
is
logical, that's kind of a tough word. But
logic is good too,
yeah,
though.
it is factual.
Definitely
Facts,
factual
facts.
instead
Very
of
important to
stories.
use facts instead of stories. Very important.
mhm.
Like, what are the facts? You don't need to make stuff up.
I would
The
say this meeting has a 12-step foundation, but we aren't
Well,
necessarily using the steps. Like the steps are important. And yes, I think the 12 steps are like the really foundation of this journey.
mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily know that we're going to say, have you done a step 4 yet? Like a lot of
No.
these
no,
meetings do.
no, no, no.
But however, if you are doing a step forward and you're struggling with it, then we're here to help you. We're just
Absolutely.
going to be like that little bit of extra to what you're experiencing in your meetings. And if you need a little guidance, you're not sure how to do something, we're here to help.
What else do we
Um,
have?
Oh
Oh,
my
go.
goodness. We
well,
are
I want to.
Hold
creating,
I
on.
sorry,
well,
sorry.
sorry.
I was being paid. I was waiting for you guys to talk. The one word you guys did not say, you made it
Mm,
sound very easy.
no, it's not easy.
The whole point in the meeting as well is to be challenged. The challenge that we get from each other is what helps us grow. That is what creates awareness. And so it's not going to be all sunshine and flowers and, right, candy or chocolate bars. It's
Right. We're
gonna,
not going to agree with you.
And I
right.
can attest to this because being a newcomer, I had a lot of things that I had one track mind on something, and I was only seeing it very tunnel visioned. And I was challenged on this tunnel vision. I was challenged on the way that I was seeing a situation. And I can't tell you when the aha moment takes place, but when you're challenged and you're challenged to see it from a healthier point of view, and then that aha moment kicks in, it is unbelievable. But but it's tough to get to that aha moment sometimes.
And it's tough to
Sometimes
And
hear. It's
it's
tough to
tough
hear.
to
You,
hear sometimes.
I mean, I remember a few calls, Mel, when we would have our Monday night call, you left us thinking we were beating you up. And we weren't, right? And we were not,
No,
right?
I know.
But we do want to challenge because as a codependent, personally, for me, I was it's a lot about control. And so if my ideas and thoughts bend, I don't have control. So I need sometimes for somebody to come in and give me the shock, the wow factor of catching me off guard and pulling me out of it.
Hmm.
Um, and that's what we want to be able to give as well. So don't think it's going to coming in is going to be easy. It's going to be very hard. Recovery is very hard. Growth is very hard. Awareness is hard. Um,
However, if you have supportive guides with you and a good tribe behind you and you have your tools, it it makes it less challenging, you know. Um, one thing that I will probably beat this community over the head with is the importance of staying regulated, finding your center. Because when you're doing things from a deregulated state or you're seeing your life through a deregulated state, it is it's night and day for when you can find your center and open yourself up to other belief systems, bigger ideas. It's the deregulated state that keeps you there. So I'm going to probably be always pushing for finding your center, being regulated, giving you tools to regulate yourself, and because doing the steps from a calm state is a lot easier than doing the steps from in a spiraled state.
So what are we doing? The foundations with where we're headed, we're going to keep some basic foundation, 12-step foundations.
Hmm.
Some of those consist of structured approach with guidelines that provide clear path, self-reflection, motivation and empowerment, cognitive behavior techniques, and focus on wellness and peer support. And I noted that earlier. That's one of the best things I got out of Coda was the community, and that is what we want to create as well. So Ashley, can you say some of the places that this community is going to be can be found?
Yeah, so we are on Facebook at Work It, You're Worth It. There's a group on Facebook. There's on Instagram. We are on TikTok. We have workityouareworthit.com. We've talked a lot about our meeting and also about our podcast.
We're
Am
on
I
YouTube.
leaving anything else? Yeah,
We got
YouTube.
YouTube. We're doing there's all the podcasts can be found on YouTube, all the streaming services. We've got a supportive music playlist that's there. And you can find all those links on the workityouareworthit.com website. So yeah. So that's kind of how we want to be able to provide community. And in the weekly meeting as well is there that will have a an amazing phone list of people you can reach out to and that are would be there to support, ask questions, to work through things.
Oh, yeah, we got the Reddit page too.
Got the Reddit page. Yep. Yep. I forgot about that.
I
So
always
yeah,
post questions, comments. If you
we're
want to be
everywhere.
on the show, please, there's on Work It, You're Worth It. There's a little thing that pops up that says, hey, do you have a question? You could just jump on there and ask your question. If you want to submit an email to Dawn or myself or Mel, you can always do that. And we could read amends letters or read self-awareness letters or whatever anybody wants to put their input in this, we are open to receiving that input.
Yep. And again, just reminding that, this is a challenging process. So, um, right. We want to be challenged. We want to challenge you so that, that's always a factor into that. So that's exciting. So yes, there's some new things coming, also down the road. Not ready to discuss those yet, but we really want to create a large community of like-minded people of any aspect. And that's, I think, the one thing we keep mentioning kind of 12-step programs. But this is more than just about 12-step. This does not mean, this could mean your day one in a 12-step. It could be, I haven't been in a 12-step for 30 years. It doesn't matter.
It
What
could be I'm not in a 12 step. I'm
exactly?
in a healthy awareness. This is right. Again, we are not ever going to look at you and say, what step are you on? And do you have a sponsor? We may suggest that you look into the 12 steps. We may suggest that you look into getting a sponsor, but that is not the end all be all of this program. That is a foundational tool.
I remember when we first started talking about this, and we broke it out into three levels, didn't we? Like the first level is the awakening, the
We
second
did.
level was getting to know yourself, like what is your purpose, why are you
It
here,
was
like, and then
higher
the third level,
awareness.
yeah,
Higher awareness was one.
yeah,
Applying awareness was
applying
two.
awareness,
And
yes.
then 3 was living in that awareness.
That's it. Thank you. Oh, yeah. So I guess
Hmm.
that's what we're about.
So yeah, we would, like I said, there's a lot to come, and definitely would love to have all of you on this journey with us. Um, so let's talk a little bit about well, those 3 things that we just talked about, the higher awareness, applying the awareness, and living in that awareness. What is that going to look like? How will we make it look like? How will we make it look? That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, so let's start with higher awareness, right? That's the first one we mentioned, right?
Mhm.
For me, higher awareness is equivalent to a higher power, equivalent to God, right? There is this awareness that is outside of myself. It is an awareness about things higher and bigger than me.
I'm going to slightly add to that. I don't necessarily think it's outside of me, completely outside of me, because the awareness in me is what gets me started. It's the awareness that, oh, wait a minute, my life, like I have something going on. I spiral,
Right.
I this, I that. So yes,
The
I
awareness is
100%.
within me, but it's within me outside of me, right? It's an awareness about thing higher than myself for me. Sorry, keep going.
No, you're okay. You're okay. Because I believe self-awareness is where it has to start, right? We're not on the internet searching for growth, recovery, relationships, self-love because our lives are perfect. We're on there looking for that because something is happening or has happened that we're looking for support. That starts within.
So maybe
Then,
self-awareness is first.
So self-awareness usually starts when you become aware and you've usually had some kind of existential crisis
exactly.
where your false self, you are being faced with your false self.
I
All
can
the
pinpoint the moment that I became self-aware. I
I
can
can
literally
too.
pinpoint
I
it.
can pinpoint it too. And it was just like an avalanche.
Can you pinpoint yours, Dawn?
100%.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Let's start there. What was so
Well,
my
hang on. Let's I want to step back. I want to step back and talk a little bit. You talked about higher awareness. What would we consider applying awareness?
How do I apply awareness?
Yeah.
Well, when I first became self-aware, to connect with that, I used meditation first. I taught myself how to meditate so I could listen to myself instead of all the rambling thoughts in my head. I was too busy listening to what was going on in here in my head and not what was going on in my heart.
Okay.
So I had to find my heart space.
so
And
for
for me, so it was meditation and getting to understand why I am the way I am.
So for me, how I applied it was more in my day to day. Yes, meditation was very important for me. That was a huge portion of it. And I think first I had to reach that breaking point that Mel was describing. And then once I reached it, it was more just for me, it happened after the fact. So it started out to where I had no awareness and I would say or do something. And then I'd be like, oh, I just did that. I have to correct myself. And it started out just catching myself after I did something. And then I would catch myself while I was doing it, whatever it was. It could have been a thought, it could have been a feeling, it could have been an action. But then I would catch myself while I was doing it. And then eventually it has gotten to where now I can choose what I do before I do it because I'm aware of myself. But I wasn't immediately or even relatively fastly did I become self aware. For me, it's been a very slow process that has happened over a very long time of being intentionally knowledgeable of what I'm doing when I'm doing it.
Hmm.
For me, I feel like the applying part of it for me actually happened for a period of time before I had my true awakening. Um, I was actually, I was in 12 steps. I came to Coda because I was going to fix myself and I was going to become better for if I got better, I fixed myself, then the relationship that I was in would be better. Um,
Me too.
well, guess what, guys? That it didn't work so well for me. It doesn't work for anybody. Let's be honest, right? It doesn't work, period. But I did. I was doing the 12 steps and I was working the program but I was doing it with other people, meaning I had a small group. I, did all of that stuff. And it was very much an intentional process, but I'm going to say this, it wasn't an intentional process in a true life-changing way. I did the steps, I understood the steps, I applied the steps, but it did not become a way of life right away. I am a proponent of sponsoring, and I've said this from a place of I get more from my sponsees than I ever get as I would ever give them as a sponsor. That's when I really started applying the 12 steps because I realized what I learned was my higher power was talking through these other people. 9 times out of 10, whatever my sponsee needed to talk about is what I needed to hear that week. And so for me, applying awareness was learning that I to listen, to hear other people, hear what they're saying, hear what they're sharing, not necessarily what this particular person is saying, but hearing what's coming out of their mouth because that's my higher power. My higher power talks through other people to me. And so for me, applying awareness is just listening, and that's a big part of it. So the third one is living in awareness. So what does that look like?
For me, living in awareness looks like immediately taking accountability when I do something I am not okay with. Not I do something wrong, not I make a mistake, not I fuck up, not somebody is mad at me. None of those things is what I'm saying. I'm saying living in awareness is taking accountability immediately when I do something I am not okay with.
You say immediately. What do you mean by what's immediate?
As
Like,
soon as I realize that I'm not okay with what I did.
so that doesn't mean like 2 seconds later. That could mean,
No. So there's this thing that happened and I overreacted to it. I reacted in anger. I was frustrated, I was irritated, and I immediately picked up my phone and I sent a text message to the person. And I was way harsher, not way, I was a bit harsher than I wanted to be. I was a bit more accusatory than I wanted to be. Instead of saying something like, hey, did this happen? Or how did this happen? Or hey, what happened? I immediately send a message. You did this, and that's not okay. And you need to do better. And it took me 2 days to come down from that frustration and that anger and that, like, I was treated badly, right? I was in self defense mode.
like somebody did something to hurt you.
Yes. So it took me 2 days to come down from that before I could then take accountability. So immediately doesn't mean on the spot, in the moment, you take accountability because that's not authentic,
Right.
right? If I haven't had time to process and truly look at myself and what I did, and if I am okay with it, right? If maybe I'm okay with the way I snapped, maybe I'm okay with my level of frustration. If I make an apology or I try to make an amends about something I'm okay with, it's fake, it's not real. So I have to take the time to process through. And then immediately means once I realize what I have done and I own it and I accept it, then I say what I need to make amends. Hey, I shouldn't have talked to you in that
Right.
manner. I should have come a little nicer. I'm sorry. I was so accusatory.
Yeah.
I want to mention though, like in a way that ways that you can process this feeling of whatever brings it up in you. There's usually like what, a couple of things behind these feelings. Fear, shame, guilt.
Fear, fear and
Yeah.
shame, fear and shame, baby.
I would say every single thing, including shame, leads back to fear.
Yep.
Yeah, so usually resentment, all that stuff underneath it all is where the fear lies. And for myself, and like I said, when I behave like that, where I'm picking up the phone and sending a text, or my first reaction is to scream and shout, which typically it is. I'll respond emotionally because I haven't processed and I am triggered. Something is coming up in me, and you're getting the worst in me right now. Is it who I am? No. I'm in a deregulated state. So, awareness is realizing that in your body and then taking the steps that you need to take so you can, when you do want to present yourself, it's in a calm, healthy manner.
That really says a lot, Mel. Because if I can say anything at all as long as I say it in the right way.
Hmm.
Right.
There's a difference between being lovingly honest and being
Hmm.
brutally honest.
Yeah.
And I'm still being honest, whether I'm lovingly honest or I'm brutally honest.
Yeah.
And really, it all comes back to my regulated state or
Hmm.
deregulated state, right? If I'm all up
Hmm.
in my emotions and I'm feeling crazy, then I'm likely going to act crazy when I reach out to somebody or interact with somebody.
Exactly.
I think for me, key to living successfully this way is just taking pause. I take pause in everything.
Yeah, that's
Meaning,
huge.
meaning my son texts me and I'm like, ugh, and I take pause. Somebody at work says something or I feel, whatever, I take pause. Um, I take pause in when I choose to do something. Taking pause allows me to get my feelings in check because it's such a conscious process of take paused on, take paused on. And that is to Mel's point of centralizing myself, just that thought aligns me because I'm aware of it and I'm making it such an important um, step in the process in the
I,
interaction.
I
Well,
love that you said that, Don, because in my head, my thing is instead of take pause,
Hmm.
I say, is this kind? Is this necessary? Is this loving?
And it checks you, it centers you like, okay, okay, I'm good.
So, those are the things that we say in order to help regulate ourselves in the moment. Do you have, Mel, something that you say to yourself in the moment to regulate yourself?
um, now, I have learned to tell somebody. I learned to feel it in my body. So if I'm getting deregulated, I know how it feels in my body. It's in my chest. My heart starts beating faster. I do get like these sweaty hands. Like all of a sudden, my hands get so sweaty. So I know I'm deregulated, and I know I should not continue this conversation. So I usually, or the situation I'm in. So I have some methods that I use. Um, I remove myself from the situation. I do have a daily practice where
So,
I
those
do,
are things that you do when you are deregulated.
yeah.
Do you
Oh,
have anything that you're in a conversation with somebody and you're just chatting and something pops into your head to help you stay aware and stay grounded in the
Yep.
moment? Do you have like a phrase like Dawn said when she gets deregulated or she's talking to somebody, not even when she gets deregulated, but when she talks to somebody or she interacts with somebody, hers is take a pause. Mine, anytime I'm interacting with somebody, is it kind? Is it necessary? Is it loving? Not even when I'm deregulated, just like anytime I'm
Yep.
interacting. Do you have anything that you say or do that helps you keep aware in the moment?
oh, okay. I'm sorry. I misunderstood your question. Yeah, I just say to myself, it's time to listen.
Okay.
You don't need to speak. It's just time to listen.
Yep. And that happens in such a flash as time goes on and um it's I feel for me, right? I've been doing this for a minute that it's just it I don't even think about it anymore. I just almost do it. It's like such a natural, it pops in my head without even thinking about it. It just pause, pause. pause. Um,
Me too. I catch myself when I'm frustrated or if somebody says something and I start to snap back, all of a sudden in my head is kind, loving, necessary,
right.
kind, necessary, love.
It's like the shock.
Yes, it is. It's like, oh, no. Okay, let me walk away.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. So, so those are kind of for the three big key things that we're going to be focusing on, and where the things we talk about will fall into one of those three for the most part. And that's kind of where this is headed and how we will navigate this. Um, so, and then through that, we will, obviously be focusing on self-reflection, which is the most important thing, growth, and sharing our journeys in a safe space, and just be here to support everyone. So talking about the awareness, next episode, we're gonna kind of go into awareness a little bit more, what that means, what that looks like, and do a little bit more of a deep dive.
Yeah,
So
we'll talk about those states that Mel was talking about, when she's deregulated, when we are deregulated, what we can do to get ourselves back to being regulated. We'll talk about how we maintain our awareness in our day-to-day lives, and then what we think our awareness is.
all
I
right.
look really forward to that topic. It's like my favorite topic.
All right, everybody. Have a great week, and we will talk soon.
Bye.
Bye. We would like to thank you for joining us on this journey of self-discovery. Visit the Work It website at workityouareworthit.com to submit your questions and topics for future episodes. And remember, work it because you are worth it.